are you looking me up on Google? If you have questions, just put them in the chat. All right, I'm going to start presenting my screen and then we're going to get started. So what we're going to be going over today is your first module writing assignment. So in previous grades, up until now, probably, you just have writing prompts. I know Mrs. Sittig's class, you guys had a writing prompt already where you just sit down and you do it. So instead of just sitting down and doing writing prompts, instead you get nice long amounts of time is what you get now. So for each module we do, right now we're in module 1, you'll have a writing assignment, okay? So for every module, there's a writing assignment. And we're going to start module 1 writing assignment today, which also we're starting it today, but it is not due till September 11th. So that is a whole 16 days away if you include weekend. So you have 16 days to do this assignment. That's a long time. In 5th grade, we really learned to yes, Logan. Do you need something? Logan. Okay. Sorry. So in 5th grade, we really learned to manage our own time and ourselves, and it's super great. So I'm going to talk more about it. If you have questions, put them in the chat. I'm going to try to answer as many questions as possible. That way we're all comfortable with this writing assignment. So your screen should look like my screen. If you're in class here, you guys can actually just look at the screen if you want, but I'm going to start Module 1 writing assignment due September 11th. By 2:35, that's the end of the school day. So attached to these directions are 4 documents, okay? And we're going to go over each of those 4 documents. So module 1 writing assignment directions and rubric is attached. So we're going to go over the directions and the rubric really quickly. Well, not really quickly. We're just going to do it. If you are at home, let me know. If you're on my Google Meet, please type in the comments if a new screen of like a directions and rubric showed up and it's no longer just my Google Classroom. Let me know. It should be a Google Doc. Let me know. Well, it should be showing up shortly. Right now it's going slow. Let me know at home if a new screen is showing up.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to start going through this. Yours might be taking a minute. No big deal. You have this screen at home too. So if you miss 5 seconds of the direction, it's not a big deal. As soon as it finishes loading on my screen, I will start going through it. So the rubric and the directions are going to be super important. First is the directions, what the actual prompt is, and then the second page of this document is the rubric. So the goal of this entire prompt is, I guess I should change it on my screen for kids at school too, sorry guys, is to write a personal narrative. And we're going to learn exactly what a personal narrative is. So prompt. Think about how each inventor in this module used curiosity and determination to solve a problem. Obviously, we've really only heard about Thomas Edison and Henry Ford, but our next stories, we're going to learn more about how inventors use curiosity. So imagine that your class is putting together a collection of personal narratives called Class Inventors at Work. Write a personal narrative about a time. Oh no, I scrolled too far. Write a personal narrative about a time when you found a creative way to solve a problem. Use the inventors in the text as inspiration. So literally, you're going to be writing a personal narrative about a problem you once had and how it was and how you solved it. That's it. So a personal narrative, in case you're wondering, a personal narrative is a form of writing in which the writer relates one event, incident, or experience from his or her life. Personal narratives allow you, the writer, to share your life with others, various experiences and things you decide. Your job as a writer is to put the readers in the midst of the action. Like you want them to be right there. You want to use good vocabulary words so they really feel like they're there. Personal narratives also incorporate vivid description, details, and thoughts, feelings, and reactions as a writer. So in personal narratives, you use I because you're talking about yourself. So you're going to say, I did this. I did this. That is part of it, okay? And then there's a little bit more if you want to read more about personal narratives. I'm going to scroll down, and there are, yes, do you need something? No? Okay. There are some bullet points, and these are what your story must have. Make sure your personal narrative establishes that you are the narrator. So you're going to have to be able to say, I did this, and then I'll know you're the narrator. You have to have an introduction that presents the setting and the problem. By the way, I wrote a whole example, so you guys will see mine, but introduction, it will be one paragraph. It'll be the setting and the problem. You'll explain the steps you use to solve your solution in the body paragraphs. You're going to use concrete words and sensory details. Those are just like good vocabulary words. Instead of the word big, maybe you could use enormous, things like that. You're going to have a conclusion that shows how your problem was solved. That's going to be one paragraph. And lastly, you're going to use 12-point font in Times New Roman. And it's going to be double spaced, and it cannot be over 2 pages long. If you're like, Mrs. Kneifel, why is there a page length limit? One time I didn't set a page limit, and then I had to read stories that were 10 pages long, and it was just way too much to grade. It was not manageable. So it cannot be over 2 pages. It does not have to be 2 pages, but it can't be over 2 pages. If you need help learning to double space, I can help you with that. I'm not necessarily worried about that right this second, but you will use Times New Roman 12 just because that's easiest for me to grade. And then if we use giant font, I have to print out more pages, and it's just a mess. So that's why we do that. So here's a checklist. There's going to be a plan/brainstorming. That's what you'll do first. There'll be a rough draft, and then you'll want to revise, edit, and publish, and it is due by 9/11 at 2:35 p.m. All right, I'm going to go over. I know you guys probably have questions, but I promise we're going to answer them all at the end. Just let me get through the directions and stuff, and then we will answer all the questions. Connor, I don't know what you have in your hands, but I really want you to put them away. Okay. Let me scroll down, and then we will go through the Module 1 writing assignment rubric. So in case you don't know, a rubric is how things are graded. In case you didn't know that, now you do. So you're going to get 2 grades for this. You get a language conventions grade, and then you get a content grade. So first we're going to go over language convention grade. So if you have few to no errors, and that's in capitalization, punctuation, subject-verb agreement, spelling, complete sentences, commas, things like that, if you have few to no errors, normally like 0 to 5, you get very good. You'll get that check. If you have 6 to 10 errors, you'll get adequate. You'll get that check. If you have 11 to 15, you'll get minimal. And if you have 16 or more, you'll get poor. And how we do this is I count up the total number of errors, and that's what I subtract from 100%. So if you have 4 errors, I would type 4 in total number of errors, and then I would do 100 minus 4, and you would get a 96% for that language conventions grade. If you have 26 errors, it would be 100 minus 26, and then you would have 73% for that grade. So that is how that is graded. And then I have a writing prompt rubric, and there are 6 check marks you can get. If your writing prompt begins with an introduction that states our problem and setting, you're going to get a check. If your narrative shows creativity when you solve the problem, you're going to get a check. If the steps and events you told to solve your problem are in clear sequence, which remember, sequence is like in order. So you're going to say what happened first, then what happened second, then what happened third. You're not going to say what happened last. You're going to get a check. Does your conclusion have the solution? You're going to get a check. Did you use interesting vocabulary words to add details? Then transition words to connect ideas. Transition words are like first, then, next, after that. Those are what transition words are. And there's a total of 6 points. And then here's my grade scale. If you get 6 checks out of the 6 checks, you're going to get 100%. If you get 5 out of 6 checks, you're going to get a 90%. If you get 4 out of 8 or 4 out of 6 checks, you're going to get an 80%. If you get 3 out of 6 checks, you're going to get a 70%. If you get 2 out of 6 checks, you're going to get a 60, and so on. So even if you get 0 out of 6 checks, you're still going to get a 40% because you technically did it. So there is our rubric and our directions. These are going to be available to you on your Google Classroom at all times, okay? All the time. Next, I'm going to go into the plan. The plan and draft is where I'm going to next. While that's loading, I'm going to check these questions real quick in the comments. Connor, you looking at your screen is very distracting to me. So just stay where I am, please, because I cannot keep on looking back and forth and getting distracted. So like I said, okay, so I see a few people didn't see what I was seeing, but other people were. Can someone answer that for me? Can anyone answer that for me? Okay, nah, cuz internet bad. I don't know what that means. Okay, you can only see my classroom. All right, well, hopefully you guys are on Google Classroom and follow me along. That would be cool. I'm going to stop presenting and see if I can open it up on another screen. Is what I'm going to try to do. And we'll see how that goes. Remember, you can always watch the replay. So I'm going to start sharing my screen again for the plan, and hopefully the sharing screen works besides my classroom. Okay. So we can go back through at the end of this. If you want to go back through the rubric and the directions together when you actually can see my screen, we can do that. So here is the Module 1 writing assignment plan. This is for you. You do not actually officially have to turn in your plan and draft to me. This is just for you because, you know, sometimes we need help getting organized, and this is how you can get organized. So you're going to think about the problem that you experienced once. What steps did you take? What challenges did you have to overcome? You can use the story map below to plan your narrative. So the first thing you have to do is say your problem. Whatever the problem was. And then the setting. I need to know where this is taking place at. Yes. So the plan and draft is strictly for you. I don't care what you write on it. You don't even have to turn it in. It has a turn in button. You're free to turn it in, but you're not going to get graded on your plan and draft. It is just for you. Okay? So after you have the setting and the problems, here's the spot where you can plan the events that happened and the steps, and then the conclusion will also be the solution. So this is, like I said, this is for you if you need help getting organized. And then I'm going to scroll down a little bit to our next one, and this is just the draft page. Once again, this is for you if you want to use it. I am not saying you have to do it. It's just will probably be easier if you guys can plan out your ideas. So Module 1, writing assignment draft. Oh no, I scrolled too far. Let me scroll back up. Let me scroll back up. So you're going to write an introduction. Your introduction has to be 1 paragraph. In your introduction, you're going to clearly state your problem and hopefully get readers interested to read it. Also, you'll probably say your setting in there as well. Sorry. Yes, Mia. Once again, this is your draft. This is not to be turned in. I don't care what you do on your draft and stuff. I'm just telling you, your introduction has to be 1 paragraph, okay? So once again, what we're going through right now, plan and draft. This is for you. You never officially have to turn it in. You will get no grade for plan and draft. This is for you to help you work it out. Then you're going to write the body paragraphs. You need to have at least 3 body paragraphs that explain how you creatively solve the problem. Can this thing just pick a spot where it needs to go? I'm sorry, it keeps on jumping all over the place. And obviously you want to tell the steps in order, okay? That's important. Telling the steps in order is important. And then lastly, you're going to write a satisfying conclusion that explains the solution. Your conclusion should be one paragraph. So that means if you follow the plan and draft, you will have a total of at least 5 paragraphs. Of course, you can have more. I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, you wrote more than 5 paragraphs. I'm furious. You just have to have at least 5 paragraphs. Now, if you're like, oh my gosh, Mrs. Kneifel, this seems overwhelming, I'm going to write you, or I'm going to read to you as soon as my screen starts sharing. I'm going to read to you the one I already wrote myself. So I personally did this. I wanted to be able to show you guys an example so you could see that it's not too overwhelming. Yes, it's going to take some work and you're going to have to, do your personal best, but you can do it. So I'm going to show you my examples. Let me get my screen sharing going again, and I will show you my example. All right, as soon as it loads, I will start reading my example. And you also have access to the example, meaning you can see the example at any time you want. Obviously, you're not going to use my writing as your writing, but you're going to be able to see it. So, my name, Mrs. Kneifel. I put my title, Wednesday's Cat Problem. Also, you can see that it's double spaced. It's in Times New Roman font, size 12. So, last Wednesday, I had a big problem. It was an absolutely enormous problem. I had no idea how I was going to solve it. Luckily, I found a solution. I had just gotten home from school and noticed that there was a cat in the tree in my front yard. The cat looked very scared, way up high in the tree. I knew I needed to help him get down. So, paragraph number 1 was my introduction. I told you my problem. My problem is I have a cat stuck in my tree. I also told you my setting. It's last Wednesday and I'm at home. So I covered the 2 things I needed to cover in paragraph 1, my introduction. And as you can see, I use the word I because I'm saying the story. I'm writing a personal narrative. Now, the next 3 paragraphs are all body paragraphs. The first thing I did, there's a transition. The first thing I did was brainstorm some solutions for the problem. I stood up looking at the tree to see how high the cat was. I looked around to see if there was anything around that may have scared the cat up into the tree. Then I thought of the best way to retrieve the kitty cat. Should I try to climb the tree? Should I call the fire department? Should I try to find a ladder to get myself up close enough to reach the cat? All these questions were running through my mind, making my head spin. The cat was looking more scared by the minute, so I knew I needed to act fast. I decided that calling the fire department was not the route I wanted to take. There were no low branches for me to grab a hold of to start a climb, so I landed on finding a ladder as my solution to get the cat. I don't personally own a ladder, but my husband's Nana down the road does, so off I walked to Nana's house to ask to borrow her ladder. Nana just so happens to be the nicest elderly lady, so of course she let me borrow the ladder to help save a helpless cat. Once I retrieved the ladder from her garage, I carried it back to my house and leaned it up against the tree. All right, so I told you, I was thinking of ideas. I decided of idea. Now I'm getting a ladder. Now the ladder's leaned up against the tree. Those are my steps. Now it was time for the moment of truth. Was I brave enough to climb the tall ladder to save the cat? I took a deep breath in and started upwards towards the cat. Luckily, the cat was frozen in fear, so he didn't try to move as I went to grab him. It was like the cat knew I was there to help him because he didn't fight me at all as I carried him down the ladder back to the safe ground. Final paragraph. In the end, that's another transition. I'm telling you it's the end. I felt like a cat hero. Once the cat and I reached the ground, he jumped out of my arms and started to trot away. When the cat got a little ways down the road, he turned and looked back at me, almost as if to say thank you and goodbye. Then he continued his way down the road and hopped into the cornfield across the street. I smiled to myself as I walked the ladder back to Nana's house. It felt good to have a problem solved and a cat saved. All right, so there is my example. If you were to write something like that, guess what? You would have a great stinking grade because I covered all the things in the story. Julian, you are writing about any problem you have creatively solved So what problem have you had in your life that you found a solution for? Mine was a cat stuck in the tree, and I found a problem. So you're choosing your own. So no one's story is going to be the same because none of you had the exact same problem and have solved it the exact same way. And there's one other document on the thing. If I start sharing my screen again, there's one other document on your Google thing, and it is just the Google Doc that you're actually going to turn in. You're going to write your story. All it says is name dash. You're going to put your name, and then that's where you're going to type your story, and that's where you're going to turn it in on. You have to use the Google Doc I provided to turn it in on. You're not just going to like magically create your own Google Doc and share it with me. No, you have to use the turn in one. Okay. So we just went through all 4 of the documents. So here, this entire assignment is due on 9/11. We will periodically work on it in class throughout the next couple weeks, but you are going to have to do some of this at home. I'm telling you now, you're not going to be able to finish it all at school. And this is the fun part. Since you're doing it at home, guess what? You can have someone help you edit it or go through it. If you have a mom or dad at home, hey, mom, can you double check this and make sure I have all the commas in the right space? You have an older sibling. Hey, older sibling, can you help me? I want someone else to look at your writing before you turn it in. Having other people look at your writing really helps you because they don't know what you're thinking. So it helps it. I don't know. It's just really helpful to have someone help you read it. Also, we are doing this in reading class because it goes along with our module, but this is the but, it is, the grades will go in language arts, okay? Connor, please do not type random things in the chat on this example thing, okay? Okay, well, you're not helping the problem, okay? Just randomly typing more isn't helping the problem, okay? Just letting you know. So, the grades will be going into language arts. So these will be 2 big grades because this will be, you're only going to have like 2 writing prompts this 9 weeks. We'll get module 1 done now, and then we'll finish module 2 before the 9 weeks ends. So this will be worth a big chunk of your grade, but it'll be in language arts grades, even though it's in reading. So right now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'm going to start answering questions. Like I said, you have 16 days to do this, okay? And you have my example, you have the directions and the rubric, so you know how it's going to be graded. Abigail, they're not links on your computer. You have to go to the assignment under classwork, or it's under classwork, then it's under module 1 writing assignment, and then you have to put view assignment, and you scroll down, and there's 4, they're not necessarily links, they're little boxes that you can just click on that take you to the directions. They take you to everything. Everyone else has them. I promise you have them too, Abigail. So what other questions are we having right now? Yes, Mia. So am I allowed to basically copy off of your work but write my own stuff? No. You're not copying off of what I wrote. I just wrote one so you could see. No, I mean like what to write. Yeah, the example is to show you like, here's, you know, this is what you need to have in your beginning. This is what you need to have in the middle. This is what you need to have in the conclusion. I just write an example so you guys can see it's not like so overwhelming as it sounds, okay? Kaylee, I haven't said the code word yet. Landon, what's your question? Julian, try to scroll down some more. Other people have 4. I know they do. Landon, what's your question? Landon, let's go. What's your question, buddy? All right. I'm letting you know. I am, look, Connor, bring me your computer. No, I want to see it. You're going to help me out real quick. No, you're the closest one to me. All right. So right now I'm looking at Connor's computer. He is in his Google Classroom. And he's under module 1 writing assignment, and he scrolled down. Why are there only 2? Ugh. Okay. So if you're on Mrs. Siddick's class, I will add the 2 others.
There's another 2 right here.
Oh, wait. It's because the other 2 are off to the sides because you can turn them in. That's why. Thanks, Connor. Let's high five. Connor just helped us out. The two that are view only are at the bottom, the writing assignment and the rubric and stuff, and then the example. Then the other two are in the top left corner that say your work, because you can turn in your plan once you're done with it, but you don't have to, but you will turn in your draft. You can go sit down. Thank you so much. So you have two in the upper right-hand corner and you have two at the bottom. I'm sorry. On my computer, they're all at the bottom. I should have known that. So you do have all four of them there. Also, one interesting thing. When you turn in your assignment, you will not get it back. So do not turn it in before someone else looks at it or anything like that. If you turn it in tomorrow, guess what? You're not getting it back. Once it's turned in, you cannot go back and edit it, okay? Obviously, your plan, that's different. You can always go back and look at your plan because that's not being graded. But your final assignment, when you see that or when you turn it in, I'm keeping it. You're not getting it back, okay? So don't turn it in until you're ready. You have till September 11th. That's 16 days. So do we have any questions? Anyone in here? Anyone on my computer? What are our questions?
Me.
Yes, Landon.
What do we write about?
Well, as I explained, any problem you have had in your life that you've... Okay, so Landon said cracking his head open. Okay, so how did you solve it, that problem that you didn't happen again? I don't know. Did your... I don't know. I'm trying to think of problems. Mrs. Kneifel cannot think of a single problem, of course. Anyways, any problem you've had, and how did you creatively solve it? Evan, if you don't get it done in time, I think you should. It's 16 days. But if you don't get it done in time, it'll be late. It's 10% off the first day, 20% off the second day. If it's 3 days late, automatic 50%. Ava, what's your question? Yeah, a paragraph is about 5 sentences long. Future reference, you might need to know that. Levi, what's your question? Ava and Levi, I'm waiting for your guys' questions.
Dang it.
Levi, what's your question, bud? Ava, what's your question?
Did that true story happen? That you were talking about?
Yep. You got to write a story that happened. What's a problem that you had to solve? Okay?
Okay.
So what's a problem that happened to you? How'd you solve it? Mia? Yeah, because that was the first step I did. The first step I didn't first was like, oh, I'm going to go get a ladder. First was like, okay, what should I do? Should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? So my first thing when I solved my problem was to think. My first step was to think. Maybe your first step isn't to think. Maybe your first step is to, grab whatever is close or whatever. Abigail, I am sure you've had a problem sometime in your life. I'm just going to let you know everyone has had problems, okay? Ava, what's your problem? Or what's your problem? What's your question, Ava? Sorry.
Can it be anything that... Can it be anything?
Any problem and how you find the solution. It does not have to
Can it be anything that happened?
Yes. It has to be a problem that you found a solution for. Okay? Any problem that you were able to solve. And it is a personal narrative, so you're using I. Any more questions before I say the code word?
Okay.
Any more questions? I just put the code word in the chat. Here, our code word, it's not a word today, it's actually a phrase. It is hot dog with ketchup and mustard. That is our code today, hot dog with ketchup and mustard. I don't know why I picked that, but that's what I did. Evan, if you don't have what you need to have, you won't get all 6 checks, and then you'll lose points, okay? If you don't have an intro, you won't get the intro point, and then you'll lose 10%. If you, only have one body paragraph instead of 3, you'll be losing points, okay? That's what the rubric's for. It tells you how it's graded. You have 16 days. Obviously, if you have questions as they come up, I will totally be able to answer them. I'm going to post this recording so you can look at it whenever. Like I said, all of these documents you already have access to on your Google Classroom, so you can start whenever you want to start. It is due by the end of the day on November 11th. September 11th, not November. Sorry, not November. I take that back. It's September. Code word is hot dog with ketchup and mustard. It's actually a code phrase today. Hot dog with ketchup and mustard. If you don't have any other questions, you are free to get off. This is all we have time for in reading today. There's only about 5 more minutes left in this rotation. So if you're ready to go, you can go. This was reading today. Thank you for participating. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Good job. If you have any questions, let me know.
Bye.
If you have any more questions, let me know. Tomorrow we're not